Here we are back in Esdcanaba. We're coming back from Tree Haven in Tomahawk, Wisconsin. We gave a speech last night, had a lot of fun, and we are now at Knives Ship Free. Now, if you're a knife person, you already know more about knives than either Brooke or I do, I'm sure. And I'm pretty sure you're probably aware of Knives Ship Free, huge internet retailer of about every knife under the sun. We were just inside a second ago talking with Derrick and some of the folks there. We're going to run in with the cameras here in a second, kind of get a little idea of what they have for sale and what's going on with the company, and hopefully we can ask some questions that maybe you guys want to know the answers to. Let's go check it out.
Knives Ship Free, guys.
You can see we're both filming at the same time with two different cameras. So you hear audio in the background.
We'll be stumbling over each other. We might have you say something twice in case.
Well,
just heads up. It's
just so you can edit it so that we say whatever you want.
Oh,
something like that. If we need it again, we'll just ask, can you say it again? Can you say it different? Can you say the things?
Say it like you're about to cry.
Right. right. So no, what we're doing here today is we're just we're going to walk around, see what is here for sale in the showroom. Of course, as I understand it, every knife that you see on Knives Ship Free is here on hand, ready to be put in a box and sent out. Is that right?
That's correct.
So we are here with Derrick Bohn of Knives Ship Free, internationally known knife retailer. And what can you tell us about the factory and how you got started in this business?
So actually, I got started in this business because I always loved knives, and my wife and I were selling on eBay at the time. I was a pastor, and that was the way I could supplement my income. And so we went through a variety of different things, including closeout merchandise, until finally I said, we need to establish a brand that we can promote ourselves. And knives were something I loved, and they were something that we had sold on closeout. And so we just started with, we were sitting in the middle of our floor and trying to come up with a URL. And at that time, everybody ripped people off on shipping. And so that was kind of a pain point that people had. And I didn't know any better. We just thought you had to have stuff to ship it. But at that time, everything in the knife world, people would buy it, and then somebody would buy it, and then you would go out and find somebody to drop ship it to them. So if you purchased something, it might be 2 or 3 weeks before you ever got it. And so we actually sold things that we had so we could ship it right away.
Nice.
So people were pretty amazed.
So knives do ship free, obviously.
Yep, in the U.S.
Yeah, in the U.S. That is so cool. And so it's doing well.
Yep, we've been doing it for almost 11 years now. Started in 2007.
That's awesome. It must be a real satisfaction too, knowing that you've built something that a giant community of people are aware of, and they like what you're doing in the space. That's got to be great, right?
It is very satisfying, and it's fun to be able to do something that you love. You know, that I've always loved knives, and now I get to spend lots and lots of time with it. And there are 6 of us that work here full time, and that's really satisfying.
I bet it is.
So how many different brands, would that be the right thing to say? Knife brands, knife makers, how many do you carry?
We carry several dozen knife brands and knife makers. We kind of specialize on the higher end stuff, and so we don't sell a lot of buck and
more custom knife stuff, right?
Yeah, more custom and just higher end. Like we sell a lot of Benchmates and Zero Tolerance and Bark River and Chris Reeve. Lots of the higher end, more difficult to get. Kind of specialize on having really good customer service and having the knives that people are looking for.
And if there's something that you want to tell everybody about Knives Ship Free that they might not know, or give them news of what's coming up with the company, what would you like to share on that?
Well, news coming up, of course, is that we currently are in Esdcanaba, Michigan, but my wife didn't really warm up to the UP.
How can you warm up in the UP?
I don't know. It's the middle of April, and we're about to get 20 inches of snow. But anyway, she didn't warm up to it, so we've decided to move to Chattanooga. And because we can operate our business from just about any place in the country, we just picked some place that we knew we'd like to live. So that's kind of our big news right now.
Great. So you'll be in sunny Tennessee while we're up here suffering in the snow next year?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they get 2 inches of snow a year.
Oh, wow.
we get that in
That's
an hour.
nothing, yeah.
Well, here's a question I'm sure a lot of the knife people, both Brooke and I have a lot of knife people that are sub to the channels that know way more about knives than we do. You know, our version of a good knife is a broken Coke bottle with some duct tape on it. I'd like to put the question to Derrick. He's got all these knives out here to show us what knives are his favorite, and let's just do the top 3.
Okay, well, how about we, I can do that, I'll do that, but why don't we back up and say, what is it that makes a good knife? Because,
See, this is what the knife guy wants to talk about.
That's a great question.
well, because, you know, there's all of these, we actually don't sell junk, but whenever you look at a knife, I mean, anytime you have anything, if you look at making soup, you know, it starts with good ingredients. So you have to have good blade steel, because no matter how beautiful the knife is or whatever, it doesn't matter if it's junk.
Now we know that there's lots of different kinds of blade steel. Do you have a favorite?
Not really. Once you get to the higher end knives, then all of that, you're talking little tiny percentages of better or worse. You know, so you have to decide whether stainless is important to you or not. And once you figure that out, then as long as you go with a good brand of knives and good steel, you're fine.
Okay.
So, and it's kind of, you know, it's horses for courses. So if you have a knife that you're just going to beat the tar out of, you need a steel that's tougher. And if you've got one that you just want it to hold an edge forever, you kind of go a different way. But really, as long as you get a good knife, it doesn't make that much difference.
So if you wanted a steel that was really tough, what is a good tough steel?
CPM 3V is an excellent steel for that. I mean, you'd have to be a gorilla to break it, probably.
Okay, what about some of the older, more traditional knife materials like a 1075 and a 1095? A2.
So-
How do you feel
So those
about
are great. Any of those good knife steels, if they're heat treated well, they'll do a great job. It's whenever you get into some of the, like in the 60s and 70s, they tried to make fancy stainless steels that really weren't that good. And now we carry some of those same steels through in inexpensive, cheap knives, and they still don't work very well.
Is there a steel to avoid, a knife to avoid?
What I would rather say is that there are steels to lean toward, the higher quality steels, the CPM steels, the good tool steels. You know, it takes some research, and like Knife Ship Free, we answer those questions all the time as far as if somebody's wondering about a particular steel, but there are literally hundreds of steels out there. So another part of what makes a great knife is the reputation of the maker. And so if you take a maker like Benchmade or Bark River, you know, they're looking at what is this knife going to do, and we're going to put the right steel in that knife to accomplish that task.
So are you saying don't buy a knife that it comes on a cardboard card with a plastic bubble over it?
There's a lot of knives that I would avoid like that, and the gas station is a horrible place to buy a knife. But so in addition to steel and the reputation of the maker, then after that you want to look at what is the design of the knife. Does the knife do what it's supposed to do? You know, are you looking for a skinner? Are you looking for a knife that goes in your pocket? Are you looking for a knife to split firewood? What do you want to do with the knife? And then the design has to fit that. You know, like fantasy knives, they're not going to do anybody any good unless you're in a movie. And then it's got to be comfortable.
If you're at home playing Dungeons and Dragons, take
With
his
your-
advice with that one.
Yeah, that's true. So then the last aspect to what makes a good knife, in my opinion, is, and especially whenever you're buying a knife that's a quality knife, you're going to spend some money. It's not, you know, you're not $19.95 at a gas station. It has to aesthetically please you. You know,
Yeah.
it has to speak to you because if you're going to spend $200 on a knife,
Yeah.
you don't want one that you look at and you go, it works great, functions great, but I really don't like it.
That's very, very useful information that I think a lot of people might miss. If someone does endless research and they're like, okay, this is probably the greatest knife I can buy, but they buy it just because it's great on paper, but they don't necessarily like it.
Right. I mean, that's
It's
why.
a
That's
great
why
point.
if you buy a knife, like if you buy a knife from Benchmade, you're really not going to go wrong. Like whenever I look at knives, this one has zero appeal to me. I don't know why. Sorry, Benchmade. That one has no appeal to me. This Benchmade is one of my favorite knives to carry of all time. This one is one of my favorite knives of all time. And is there a functional difference between these two? Not really. But I like this one and I don't care for this one.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It has to just be ready for the purpose you want it to be. It has to be beautiful. I'm drawn to pretty knives and that feel good in my hand. I think probably first.
Yeah.
There is a look and a feel to a knife that makes me want to pick it up.
Right.
And then you go, okay, well, is this going to work for what I want?
Yeah, so
it
if
to
you
be?
take all of the knives out there and you say, any of these knives would work for me, then pick out the one you like the best. I mean, obviously, if you're shopping for a car, you throw out the ones that have terrible operating. They don't work. They're not going to work in your environment. And then you pick out the model you want, and then you pick out the color you want. So I want to buy
Yeah.
a Toyota Highlander, and I want the blue one, not the red one. So
Right on.
that's how you make the choice. And it's the same way with the knife.
Now, as far as your 3 favorites, you've mentioned Benchmade several
Sure.
times. I think you're probably
I'll show you my favorites in those. Here, let me grab a couple of knives and I'll
Yeah.
talk about why they're my favorites. Gotta find where it is.
It's your store, dude.
I know. No, but things move around. You guys move knives around.
Oh yeah, we're sorry about that.
I just have to find the right ones. So my 3 favorite knives are these 3.
Oh, there's so many cool knives in here.
Okay, so I'll show you what are my current favorite knives, but I will tell you what I tell people all the time. Anytime I'm introducing a knife, I'll go, man, this is my favorite knife. And people will say, wait, you said this last one was your favorite. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of a little bit like all these other knife guys. The favorite one is the one that I have in my pocket. So, the one that I'm holding right then. But let me show you my favorite knives right now. This one is the Fox River by Bark River. This one is a favorite of mine that has been my favorite for 10 years. I could pick any hunting knife, and I have used a number of them. I haven't hunted for several years, but when I did, this was the knife that I kept coming back to. It's available in A2 and lots of other steels. It's available in this thicker steel, and they've just come out with a thinner one, which actually is more my favorite. But great hunting knife. It's a good all-around knife. People use it for survival and all that stuff too, but it's just my favorite. My current favorite, Benchmade, and we don't even have it out here, but I pulled this one out of my pocket so you know why it's my favorite, is the Bug Out by Benchmade. And what I like about it is it's super light. It weighs almost nothing. It's S30V steel, so it holds an edge really well, and I love the looks of it. I'm not crazy about the blue, but other than that, it's great. And as far as just a fancy knife, this is my favorite one. I actually have 2 of these because sometimes I leave them places I can't remember. But this one is the 761 by Benchmade. It has M390 steel, a titanium handle and frame, and it's a frame lock knife. And it's just a slick looking knife. It sits in your hand well, it carries in your pocket well. Those are my knives. That's what I like, at least right now. People who come from a background where they are not familiar with high-end knives, they first look at a knife that's $150 or $200 and all the brakes come on. So what I tell people is you need to figure out what is the entry-level knife. Let me show you. Okay, so that is, in Benchmade's line, is this knife. This is a Griptilian. It's everything that makes a knife good, this knife has. It has good steel. It has good workmanship. Reputation of the knife maker is stellar. It's right at $100. But it has everything that Benchmade is. It's good quality steel, a nice handle, very durable, and
Very dull.
and it's a sexy looking knife. But if you want to get into good knives, you got to find something like this to get your appetite whet.
Yeah.
So Brooke and I had a fantastic time at Knives Ship Free. Not only was it a beautiful day to travel, it was a great day to stop in and really get to see the inner workings of one of the internet's premier knife retailers. Derrick was a fantastic host, and we also got to meet Jay, the designer of the Northwoods line of knives. You can see everything that is here on the wall, of course, is available in the showroom, and it's also available for sale online. But what really needs to be pointed out is that if it's on their website, these guys actually have it in stock. They can put it in a package and send it to you for free, just like the sign says. Knives Ship Free, Michigan's largest knife and cutlery outlet store. But that's kind of a misnomer because these guys are really they're big everywhere. Derrick and Jay were fantastic to interview and to talk to. They had so much good information to pass along. They both struck us as just good, solid people. Just good folks. So if you're in the market for a high-end knife and you want to make sure you're dealing with good folks, definitely check out Knives Ship Free. Thank you guys so much for watching Bushradical. My name's Dave Whipple. Be radical, eh? See you soon.